Hey everybody, I'm Robbie from Detroit Driver, and today I got a very special car review. We are here in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. This is the wealthiest suburb in Michigan, and that's by no accident. We're also here at Cranbrook Institute, which is the second most expensive private school in the state. Today we have a very special car that makes this location absolutely perfect for it. This car is worth $3 million new. There's only 500 of them in the world, and I am very, very lucky to be able to film it with you today. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce the Bugatti Chiron. So as you can tell, this is not actually the real Bugatti Chiron. This is a partnership project that they did with LEGO, where basically on their Technic line, they collaborated on this beautiful Chiron project. Obviously the real Chiron is $3 million. I have never seen one, so I was not able to get one. But I have this, I built this, and this is what I'm going to use for the review. So, a brief history about the Bugatti brand. Bugatti was founded by Ettore Bugatti in 1909. He was an Italian, but he founded the brand in Molsheim, France. Now, Bugatti was actually huge in the 1930s. They had a great race history, but with the war, that kind of went on pause, and then they eventually closed their doors after it. Now, Bugatti was resurrected in 1991 with the launch of the EB110. They were then bought by the Volkswagen Group in 1998, who then developed the Veyron. Alright, so the Veyron pioneered this new supercar industry. We had the McLaren F1 before that, but the Veyron had a W16 engine and eventually broke the world speed record at 267 miles an hour for a production car. These figures are insane and really set the foundation for Bugatti in the 21st century. Following the Veyron, we have the Chiron. The Chiron launched in 2016, which was 1 year after the Veyron stopped production. So this is obviously the successor to the Veyron. It uses the same design W16 engine, which Bugatti is the only car brand in the industry that does that. This car has 1,500 horsepower, 1,180 pounds-feet of torque, and is an 8-liter W16. Basically what that means is it's two V8s slammed next to each other way in the back. If you come over here, you can actually take a look at the engine in the back. We can see the W16 layout right here. It's also visible in the real car as well. So Bugatti was tasked with a huge challenge of the Veyron being awesome, and they had to somehow make the Chiron even better. Basically, they have somehow figured out a way to do that. They did a lot of testing, spent a lot of money, and almost burned down their factory twice in the process. So, there's only 500 of these in the world. There are actually 5 different types of Chirons. We have the base Chiron, which we see here. We have the Chiron Sport. We have the Chiron Super Sport 300 Plus, which actually set the new record for the fastest production vehicle at 304.77 miles an hour. They also have the Chiron Pure Sport, or Pure Sport, which is a more cornering, aggressive type of car. And then they have the Chiron Sport 100 On Edition, which is a tribute to 110 years of the Bugatti brand. For me, The real difference to tell how this car has progressed from the Veyron is this metric right here. So when Bugatti did the world speed record at their track, at a VW track in Germany, they had to start the Chiron on a bank turn in order to reach that maximum top speed on the straightaway following the turn. The Chiron, however, can start at the base of the turn, completely stopped, reach 250 miles an hour, and stop before the straight ends out. Basically, this car can go 0 to 250 miles an hour, back to 0 in a third of the distance that the Bugatti Veyron did it in. So as cool as that car is, you can see how much the technology has progressed in just 10 years from the Veyron to the Chiron. Now when you get a car that can do speed, acceleration, and deceleration like that, there's two important things. Obviously, the engine, which we talked about already. Another very important thing is the brakes. Now Bugatti did something super special with the Chiron brakes. They're actually 3D printed, not just the LEGO plastic version, but the actual real car. So these brakes are 3D printed. They are 40% lighter than standard aluminum brakes. And they're the biggest brake ever fitted to a production car. That is obviously very important, as deceleration from 250 miles an hour causes a lot of heat, requires a lot of friction, and you don't want your brakes failing when you're going triple figures and crash into something, which would really suck. Also, specifically for the 300 Plus Super Sport Edition, which was the world record setting one, they had tires specially designed by Michelin because normal tires would melt, and that would also suck. So as we take a look at the back end of the Chiron, we have this complete strip across the back, we have the brake lights here, and we have this active rear spoiler. This helps the car with downforce and is completely electronic, so it goes up and down based on the demands and needs of the car. Now for US spec Chirons, they actually have bumpers on the back. They're not on this car, but they're really ugly plastic bumpers that just protrude out from the back end. To say the least, they're horrendous looking, and many Chiron owners in the US have them removed. But that's an interesting tidbit about US-based Chirons. So now as we move to talk about the inside of the Bugatti Chiron, this is a good place to talk about Bugatti and what they are. People typically associate Bugattis with fast and expensive, but not always luxury. That's where they fall short. Bugatti actually is a luxury car brand, very similar to Rolls-Royce, but they just have the performance of even better than a Ferrari, which is the best of both worlds. The inside is leather, attention to detail is crazy, super customizable. What I particularly like is their lack of technology screens. Yes, this car is super technologically advanced from the guts and computers in it, but the display is absolutely timeless. A lot of it is very tactile, the screens are nice, but when you get to technology within cars, a lot of the screens seem outdated very soon, within 1 or 2 years. So the fact that this car limits the number of screens that it has, particularly just to the dashboard and the speedometer, is very, very, very cool. This car is timeless. Now, you can see from the outside this sort of C shape on the car. This and the real car and on the LEGO is carried to the inside. This is actually a design reference to the Bugatti Type 57 SC Atlantic. This is arguably the most sought after collector car Bugatti of all time. There's only supposedly 4 of them in the world, and 1 of them is lost, but that is a completely different story. So this car design takes its design from there, and you can just kind of see it throughout the car. I love the design features, absolutely beautiful. Let's move on to the front to finish our tour. So as you can see on the front, Bugatti has this horseshoe grille. They've had this on all of their cars, and if you even just look back a generation to the Veyron, it has it basically as prominent as this one is here. This is standard and really is a great tie between all the cars throughout history that are Bugatti. Now, the engine being in the back, there is a little frunk area, which for the LEGO Chiron has luggage. In the real Chiron, you can also get fitted luggage to the area. Now, practicality purposes, this car, from a drivability standpoint, is actually quite practical, even though it can be super fast. Like the Veyron, the Chiron can drive very, very well at low speeds, which is not very common among these high-performance cars. However, the fuel economy is horrendous. 14 miles per gallon in the city and 19 miles per gallon on the highway. Has a huge fuel tank, but gas is still very expensive and you need to fill it up very regularly in this car. One thing that I'm not particularly a fan of with the Chiron is when I buy in the future these $1 million cars, I want some flair. Obviously the design elements are cool, but I think doors that open unlike your normal car are very cool, whether it's scissor or butterfly or angled like the Aston Martin or dihedral like the Koenigsegg. But these cars just kind of open like your regular doors, which isn't the end of the world, but if I had to have one complaint about the Bugatti Chiron, that would be it. Now to end, I'm going to just tell you a few fun facts about the Bugatti Chiron. Everybody loves 0 to 60 times, so the 0 to 60 time in this car is 2.3 seconds. That's absolutely mind-boggling and just very difficult to even comprehend. Another fact that you may not know is this car is made with a ton of carbon fiber. How much carbon fiber, you may ask? Try 2.15 million miles of strands of carbon fiber. To put that into perspective, that is enough to wrap around the Earth 86 times. So, for $3 million, you get a ton of carbon fiber. As I mentioned, there's only 500 of these in the world. That's total for the 5 types of Chirons that will be made. That's actually 50 more than the amount of Veyrons that Bugatti made. Overall, I'm a huge fan of this car, and I cannot wait until I actually see one in real life. Thank you very, very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please let me know what your thoughts are on the LEGO Chiron as well as the real Chiron. Now, I've only seen 3 Bugatti Veyrons in the Detroit area, but I've seen no Chirons. So if you know somebody with a Chiron, please let me know. If you are that person who has the Chiron, I would love to see it. Eventually, when I can get my hands on a real one here in the Detroit area, I plan to bring it right back here to Cranbrook and Bloomfield Hills. Absolutely beautiful location. So, again, thank you very much for watching. If you have any cars that you would like me to tour, or if you would like to invite me to see, I'm totally open. I have a few cars on my list already arranged to do real tours of, so stay tuned for those. Those will be coming very soon. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I cannot wait to see you next time.